So after the Conor McGregor video came out of him saying that he's going to be fighting at 185 pounds, so many videos have come out on whether that's true, if he's just kidding. I obviously believe that he's just kidding, but it's actually a really interesting point on whether that would be possible or not. And the reason why I don't think that it would be possible for him to get a win at 185 pounds, I mean, again, it would be an interesting experiment, but the reason why I don't think it would be practical is for the simple fact that he is completely new to carrying around that much weight. There's no substitute for someone who's been walking around at that weight for their entire career, not to mention their entire life, being, teenager, young adult, but someone like Conor, who has been walking around having to cut down to 145 pounds for a majority of their career, and really just a small minority of their career, fighting at, 155, 170 pounds. So fighting at 185 pounds, even if he went to like another promotion, with like less talent or something like that, he might could squeak out, this, but like at the top echelon of the world, whenever it comes to fighters, the tiny bits of advantage that someone can get over their opponent is extremely significant. And whenever you're talking about 155 pounds or even 170 pounds, which Conor's really not, a natural 170 pound guy, it's not going to work out well. And I think even Dana White, someone, very realistically shot down the idea of Conor fighting a guy like Jorge Masvidal just because he knows this. And that's clearly not going to happen. 170, I could see it. But one thing that the MMA channel called MMA Chi said that I thought it made sense, but then didn't make sense at the same time, was that people saying that Conor McGregor is washed. And I think that it makes sense because his point was that he's not washed. And it makes sense in that sense because he has been fighting the best other than Cowboy. He's been fighting the very, very best and actually not doing half bad. In the Khabib fight, he was actually fighting off the takedowns possibly better than anyone we've seen. He was actually doing really, really well. He was getting off, really good strikes. He's probably the only person that ever went around against Khabib. And then with, the two Dustin fights, first one, he was actually doing pretty well. And then just, didn't do well after those calf kicks. And then in the second one, again, doing well. And then his leg breaks. So it's like, I definitely see where MMA Chi's coming from. Again, makes a lot of sense. And then he makes the point of how whenever someone is on steroids, a lot of times that even makes them better. People, saying that he's on steroids and that, oh yeah, he's washed and he's on steroids, so that means he's even worse. It's like, yeah, no, that's actually a good observation that if he's on steroids, that potentially makes him stronger, faster, whatever. But the problem is that whenever you have any form of testing, you're probably not going to be able to take what you've been taking, whenever you were fully on whatever rehab supplements, steroids, whatever it is. You can take certain things that can kind of get around the rules, but you're not going to be able to just go all out like you have been doing. So I would say that is definitely, the withdrawals from steroids are definitely going to be significant. Like, I don't think there's any question in that. But so I would say that's the other side of the coin that he didn't really talk about very much. And I believe More Plates, More Dates goes much deeper into this. But it's whenever your body has withdrawals, it's used to having a certain, level of, let's say even testosterone or, HGH, or something like that. And whenever you stop using that kind of stuff, then your natural supply of it goes down. And that's the criticism of, if someone is fully on, steroids or just, performance enhancing drugs and they get off they're going to not only be back at baseline, but a lot of times they're going to be below baseline. And that's not to say that there won't be, some effects, or that's, you can't get around the rules because I'm sure tons of fighters get around the rules, everyone's on steroids. But, and I mean, you look at guys like John Jones or Chris Cyborg, stuff like that. Sure, or TJ Dillashaw for a bunch of years. Yeah, like people are still doing it. And to be honest, I think that's going to be the only way that Conor can keep up. Because again, he is in his mid-30s at this point. And it's just whenever you do live a certain lifestyle of partying and this and that, basically he's partying and then he's going into the gym and just beating up his body. And it's like, whenever you really take care of yourself, you might can last, into your, late 30s. Like, Stephen Thompson, I think he's like 40 or something like that. But that's if you really take care of yourself. With Conor McGregor's lifestyle lately, that's not very conducive of a long career. That's not very, it's going to be very hard to do that. And again, I'm not going to say that it's impossible for him to get, another title just because, he's Conor McGregor and he's going to get nothing but basically title shots or title eliminators, which is kind of annoying because, at the end of the day, it maybe should be, let's say 50-50, like a sport entertainment. And this is where it's pretty much, 100% or like 90-10, something like that. So yeah, whenever it comes to that, I honestly think that Conor will do well. I just think that they need to start giving him like Paddy Pimblets, guys who are on Chandler's level and below, and see how he does. And yeah, again, the sport is better whenever Conor McGregor is involved, whether you like him or you don't. I will definitely admit that. So yeah, I am definitely pulling for Conor to come back and have a great fight with Michael Chandler, and hopefully that'll be his return.